we need to completely reverse our thinking around 3 areas of national distraction and toxic ideologies that are holding us back right now. 3 things we must speak of far less while we turn our attention to the real news that matters. Number 1, net zero. Forget it. Leave that to the big countries that can actually have an impact. The idea Australia can have any impact on carbon and the climate while China and India grow at lightning speed is simply a self-indulgent total delusion used by left-wing political parties like Labor and the Greens for political power. So we just need to shut up about it. We need energy and we need lots of it. Sure, keep innovating new technology, but let the market do its thing and put our focus elsewhere, like ensuring our energy security for the future. We need nuclear power yesterday, and we need to stop listening to Greens and environmentalists for about the next 20 years, period. It's absurd and indulgent spoilt brat thinking to believe that while China builds 100 coal-fired powered stations a year, that's 2 new ones every week, that shooting ourselves in the foot by closing 1 or 2 down is going to have any effect on anything to do with global warming. Who the hell do we think we are? And why are we letting teenagers and boomer grandparents who want to be popular with the grandkids by sounding all green set the agenda for our nation's energy policy and security? Number 2 thing that we need to do a 180 on, the voice and racism more generally. We are not a racist country. We're one of the most welcoming, fair, multicultural countries on earth, and probably the most in the Asia-Pacific region. And why are we so non-racist? Because of Western European liberalism and thought. As a national community, we look after the descendants of our early Indigenous people very, very well already. With taxpayers already sharing the wealth to the tune of spending on Indigenous Aussies, that's 1.5 to 2 times per person what we spend on non-Indigenous Aussies. It's freedom and liberty and democracy that is under threat here, and we need to defend that now. So we need to decide, do we value our British and European heritage, or do we not? As European Australians, do we want to be the European centre of Asia? Is that our role in history that we should be leveraging? I think so. As Asian, South Asian or Middle Eastern Australians, do we see the opportunity that this presents for us to leverage all the European things that we and our ancestors came to Australia for, to take that back to the lands of our ancestors and be a beacon and champion for the rule of law and liberal democracy and the collective prosperity that comes from free economic systems for the Asia-Pacific region? As an Aboriginal Australian descendant, are we ready to be grateful and thankful for what the Europeans brought to this land and stop talking about things that happened to our ancestors and nonsense ideologies of the past that will not help our children into the future or even in the present? Again, this is all self-indulgent garbage that we cannot afford. We have bigger fish to fry and much bigger challenges ahead of us. The number 3 thing we need to reverse our thinking on, sexism, the Me Too movement and gender ideology. We are not a sexist nation. Parliament House is just one workplace. And we do not have a discrimination problem against people of different sexualities. We are one of the most open-minded liberal countries on earth when it comes to this stuff. These current obsessions over the minutiae of gender politics are again the narcissistic indulgences of a rich, spoilt people. 93 cities in China projected to become high income by 2030, according to the World Bank. That's less than 7 years. 2 coal-fired power stations per week. And what are we spending our time focused on? Contested science on the impact of historically high carbon levels on the climate, whether we should throw even more money and representation to a group of people in our community that already have a significant slice of both and are greatly respected, and whether or not a couple of junior staffers had consensual sex one night or not in a Parliament House office. If we spend as little time as possible thinking about that stuff and more pondering the things that matter, like what our vision for our nation is for the next 20 to 50 years, we'd be far better off. Like, are we really going to be the lucky country forever? Or are we actually the stupid, self-indulgent teenage brat of planet Earth about to get the spanking of its short, spoilt life? If you enjoyed that content, there's lots more where that came from. The Other Side Australia is back every Tuesday and Friday on ADH TV and all good podcast platforms. It's your weekly short circuit summary of the best news commentary from Australia and abroad. Don't miss it.